Welcome both to those who are joining us in person and also to those who are joining us via live stream. We are excited and delighted that you are here today with us. My name is Katrina Wade Golden, and I serve as the Associate Vice Provost and Deputy Chief Diversity Officer here at the university. And just as last Monday was a great day when we were able to launch DEI 2.0, 2 years in the making, today is a great day because we're going to have an opportunity to learn about the DEI 2.0 plan. We've curated a multifaceted experience for you today. So we're going to have a presentation which presents some of the major aspects of the plan, and we're also going to have several multimedia presentations throughout our time here today. And we are also going to have individuals who represent units and some student engagement activities who are here with us today speak a little bit about how this work is coming to life within the units, because this is not just a central plan. This is a plan that goes across 51 units because this is our plan. It's not the central office's plan, ODA's plan, central administration. This is all of our plans, and we want to model that today in hearing the collective voices of those engaged in this work. And then we're going to create space for you to be in community and in connection with one another, because that is critically important as we advance this work of diversity, equity, and inclusion. So without further ado, I'm going to move us along to the first aspect of our program today. And I'm just going to say a couple of words about our presenter, our very own Vice Provost for Equity and Inclusion and Chief Diversity Officer, Dr. Tabby Chavis. Yay! So just very briefly, building on 25 plus years as a faculty member and having served in a variety of different leadership positions in relation to DEI at the department, at the unit level, and then in terms of central administration, Tabby currently provides oversight for the Office of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. And ODA, as many of you know, is the office that serves as the hub for my catchment of work, which is the implementation of the DEI strategic plan, as well as the climate survey. But in that office, there are also 4 programming units, 3 support units, and then if that wasn't enough, Tabby also serves as the principal advisor to the president on issues related to DEI on campus. This is a big role, and I don't think any other person would be as good as serving this role at this time. Tabby is a wonderful partner in this work, and she is a stark champion for all of us as we look to engage our work collectively. So please join me in welcoming Tabby Chavis.
No better person to start us up and hype us up than Katrina Wade Golden. And I will flow the praise back to her and to thank her for her leadership and our strategic planning team's leadership in engaging and implementing a process in our campus, in a very decentralized campus, in a way that brings communities together and that engages the work with excellence and with strategic vision, even in the way that our community is brought together. So thank you, team. Good afternoon, and thanks for joining us. To reiterate thanks, whether you're in person or joining us virtually via live stream, as we continue the launch of our campus's DEI 2.0 strategic plan. You know who I am. Katrina just introduced me, but on behalf of the Office of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion, and on behalf of the Provost and President's leadership teams, I welcome you. Today, we're going to provide some overall framing of our DEI plan and some snapshots and highlights of central and unit level goals and action steps. Of course, to learn more, and to even learn more than you even thought you wanted to know, please visit report.dei.umich.edu to access the full plan, as well as the 51 unit-specific plans. And if you haven't already, I encourage you to review your own unit's plans and consider the goals and actions and areas of work that you'd want to support and participate in. So, back to the basics. Revisiting our DEI framework and what undergirds the work that we do. What do we mean by DEI? How are these concepts defined, and how do they guide and show up in our strategic plan and efforts? Our commitment to increasing diversity includes myriad forms, including race, ethnicity, gender identity, sexual orientation, socioeconomic status, language, culture, national origin, religious commitments, age, disability, and including status and identity, and political perspective. It includes all areas of diversity, but in order to work on diversity in effective ways, we have to name and focus in on particular areas in strategic and evidence-based ways. Similarly, our commitment to working on equity means actively challenging and responding to bias, harassment, and discrimination where they occur at interpersonal and systemic levels. It means upholding equal opportunity policies and practices for all persons without discrimination on the basis of protected identity status. And our commitment to inclusion means deliberate and continual efforts to ensure that our campus is a place where differences are welcomed, different perspectives can be heard, and where every individual feels a sense of belonging and inclusion. Inclusion doesn't mean that discomfort never happens. By definition, if we're diverse in the ways that we say we want to be, we're going to encounter viewpoints and perspectives that differ from our own, and that may even challenge our own. So in this context, inclusion means that all feel equitably empowered to use their voice and feel that their presence and contributions on our campus are valuable and valued as a part of our campus work. And why do we do this? Because we know that by building a critical mass of diverse groups on campus, supporting equitable access to opportunities for success and thriving, and creating a vibrant culture of inclusiveness allows us to actually leverage the great diversity that we have, and that we want to enhance on our campus. That is the only way that we'll meet our goals for excellence and societal impact. So if you were to peruse our plan, you would see that lots of steps went into where we are today, both then in our 1.0 strategic plan period, and now. Our strategic plan process was unusual, unique, and unprecedented in higher education. There are very few places where a campus-wide DEI plan where all campus units are participating has been a part of the plan. On our campus, what's the challenge? I think I hear decentralized campus every single day. But our priority was not to turn us into, the centralized place, but to recognize and honor our decentralized structure and culture here, and the resulting heterogeneity that is yielded from that. Our units have different missions, have different functions in relation to our excellence goals. So our planning process needed to align. It needed to be distributed so that we could actually access units' knowledge and expertise on their own experiences to help them develop strategic goals that are meaningful and that they can leverage their expertise to help address. As a result, we had 51 major academic, service, and administrative units on our campus developed unit-specific plans. We also developed a central-wide campus plan led by the Office of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion, or ODE, that will support our 51 units and oversee several university-wide programs such as Go Blue Guarantee and Wolverine Pathways. And why are we doing this? Because we're trying to move toward a process of institutional change and cultural transformation. We are trying to move from DEI as a contested perspective. And when we began DEI 1.0, the idea of why do we need to focus on DEI is related to some areas of our work but not others, was a part of the conversation. I can feel proud to say that is no longer a part of our conversation. We are moving from a contested perspective to core institutional value, but because we're in society, We also have to acknowledge that more broadly and more nationally, that there has been DEI backlash that raises that question once again. Why are we focusing on DEI as a part of our core mission? Should we be focusing on other things? Should we tamp down or eliminate these areas too? So we can't even rest on our laurels to think that we've gotten there, because the pressure externally and even internally in some spaces is raising the question of contested perspective again. But our ultimate goal is to move towards standard operating procedures where we think about DEI as integrally tied to our academic excellence mission. Therefore, it's not ideological only, it is not optional. And we know from a pretty large body of scholarship at this point, some led by our own faculty, students, staff, and alums, that the conditions of diversity, equity, and inclusion lead to more innovation, better problem solving, and better solutions. And with this understanding, getting to this standard operating procedure change goal is essential, because it allows us to actually meet our goals of academic excellence, which is our ultimate goal. In developing plans, those of you who are involved in plans know the 3 Ps really well, that all units were asked to address objectives related to our DEI efforts related to people, retaining and developing a diverse community, and providing the conditions for them to be retained and to be successful and thrive. Process, creating an inclusive and equitable campus and community, including positive climate. And products, supporting innovations in teaching, education, scholarship and research in our service and engagement. 51 campus units developed unit-specific plans to advance these people, process, and products goals in ways that are tailored to their mission and their needs. Along with the unit plans, what we'll share in a moment, 20 central or campus-wide action items that have been developed to impact the overarching goals of U of M. And surrounding kind of those features are infrastructure, such as our DEI Leads community. Foundational programs, again, such as Go Blue Guarantee, Wolverine Pathways, and other programs that are situated in units but that have a campus-wide function, as well as regular reporting and metrics so that we can support accountability around key areas as we continue to evolve and support our goals of advancing DEI. And fundamentally, what are we working to try to do? Cultural transformation. The institutional model that guides our work and it represents our theory of change, including key elements that we think are fundamental to the cultural transformation we seek. It begins with raising institutional awareness around DEI concerns, opportunities, and improvement needs, including the experiences of different communities, and we really saw a lot of progress and movement and accomplishment in that area during our DEI 1.0 strategic plan period. But we build on this greater awareness by also developing skills so that people understand how DEI is related to their positions and roles in this community, and allowing them to work on concerns and opportunities. At the same time, we're not just talking about individual capacity building. We're talking about aligning systemic policies, procedures, and processes in better ways that reflect our DEI values and goals. Revisiting norms and practices that have not worked to the advantage or that have worked to serve as barriers in some cases. And sustained engagement in these efforts then create cultural norms and reinforcers of those things that finally contribute to our goal of truly broadening institutional access. That is, in ways that reflect abundant representation of the groups and cultures that make up our nation and society, that promote a welcoming climate, and that enable opportunities for thriving for all. So, I want to share with you some of the central action items that reflect people, and you can see them listed here. This goal reflects our effort to promote an ever more diverse student, faculty, and staff community, including providing individuals with the necessary support and accessible opportunities necessary for their success. Again, here's a list, and you can learn more about each of them on our DEI 2.0 website if you haven't already visited. And today I'm going to spotlight a few examples. Enhancing international graduate student diversity. This action item focuses on the experiences of international graduate students and is led by Rackham Graduate School. As a first action step in year one, Rackham will finalize a report and recommendations developed by a graduate faculty ad hoc committee aimed at increasing DEI, access, and opportunity for international graduate student applicants. International students make up a substantial proportion of students enrolled in Rackham programs, and they include widely diverse communities. And they all contribute in important ways to the cultural and intellectual fabric of our campus community, and centering and including even more visibly and more apparently the experiences of international students was something that we heard as feedback in our DEI 1.0 process as well. Doubling down on Wolverine pathways. This action item reflects the goal of investing in a tested model that has shown success in diversifying our undergraduate student community in ways that other efforts had not been able to achieve as deeply through community, family, and school partnerships and a holistic approach to developing and nurturing talented middle and high school scholars from underserved communities. Based on a deep evaluation following our 1.0 period, this program is focusing even more on program components that increase student admissibility and that leverage even more effectively the transfer pathway for qualified students. This action item, the Michigan Program for Advancing Cultural Transformation Impact in the Biomedical and Health Sciences, is an exciting new partnership of U of M and the National Institutes of Health to support diversity and cultural transformation in health sciences fields. Through Impact, we will recruit 30 outstanding new assistant professors in the basic biomedical sciences, clinical translational health sciences, and social and behavioral health sciences. The program focuses on enhancing climate in the health sciences through training of senior mentors and working directly with scholars' departments to support a climate that bodes well for success and retention. Impact was developed and adapted from our successful LS&A Collegiate Fellows program. Thus, it's an example how investment in an innovative model for faculty recruitment during DEI 1.0 led to a new opportunity and access to external funding that allows us to scale up a tested model across our campus. Now I'm going to share some unit-specific spotlights. Let's see.
Hi, I'm Isis Settles, Associate Dean for Diversity, Equity, Inclusion in the College of Literature, Science, and the Arts. Providing a world-class liberal arts education is achieved through embracing all of our differences and experiences. In support of the university's DEI 2.0 strategic plan, we are focused on increasing access in higher education, improving retention among students, faculty, and staff, and supporting academic and professional success for everyone in the LSA community. One example of this work is the expansion of the successful LSA Collegiate Fellows program. Over the next 5 years, we will recruit 32 extraordinary scholars who have demonstrated a strong commitment to DEI in their research, teaching, or service. They will have the opportunity to be recruited as postdoctoral fellows, assistant professors, or new associate professors. This and our other initiatives are just a few ways we are creating and supporting a community where everyone is seen, valued, and heard.
Hello, I'm Kristen Howard and serve as the Senior Director in the Michigan Medicine Office for Health Equity and Inclusion, or OHE. OHE leads over 30,000 faculty, staff, and learners at Michigan Medicine in its DEI and health equity strategic planning. We provide training and education, serving more than 29,000 stakeholders last year alone, and work hard to support young people along the pathway to careers in medicine. During DEI 1.0, we were able to reach about 1,700 students, ranging all the way from 5th grade through medical school. One program where we really get to bring people together and lean into our shared mission to advance health to serve Michigan and the world is our annual Youth Summit at the Big House. In May 2023, about 330 faculty, staff, students, and residents from more than 25 Michigan medicine departments participated in this special outreach event. We engaged about 450 students in grades 5 through 9 from Ann Arbor, Ypsilanti, Southfield, and Detroit. These students were able to engage with practitioners through hands-on simulations used in the actual training of doctors and make personal connections with our practitioners. In just its second year, this event almost doubled in size. And for DEI 2.0, it will transition to year-round programming to deepen our connection to local students and ensure that they begin building the math skills needed to successfully matriculate at our university. We are excited about what's next.
Hi, my name is Will Sherry. I use he and him pronouns, and I'm the Director of Strategic Initiatives for Student Life and serve as one of our DEI implementation leads. Following months of engaging with staff, Student Life will launch a DEI 2.0 staff development and retention initiative focused on assessing and advancing salary equity and delivering on intentional onboarding, coaching, and professional development. Over the next year, Student Life will develop and roll out a compensation education series aimed at enhancing transparency and growing knowledge. Initiatives to enhance staff knowledge, skills, and behaviors that advance DEI will include the evaluation and incorporation of onboarding best practices, the development of sustainable supervisor coaching, and the option of attending fundamentals of DEI staff class. We're also excited to be adding 2 staff positions, one dedicated to building a stronger foundation of DEI work in HR processes, and the other focused on increasing access to coaching and professional development.
Thank you. Let's see. Uh-oh. What? Sorry about that. Keeping you moving, here's a list of process-related central action items. This goal reflects our efforts to support procedures and policies and practices that promote equitable access and opportunities for success and thriving in our campus environment. Again, you can learn more about each of them in more detail through our DEI 2.0 website. I'll allow you to peruse this for a moment, and it's available on our website. And we will, please go to the website for more information. And I'm going to spotlight again a few examples. Enhancing physical accessibility on campus. This action item focuses on examining and addressing our physical accessibility environment on campus to support full participation in academic and work life for all. Our value and our goal is that our baseline standard starts well above ADA compliance, such that U of M is viewed as a destination for study and for work for individuals with disabilities. We also have a complementary action item that was on the list that focuses on specifically enhancing digital accessibility, and we know that there's also connection and overlap between these 2 objectives and their efforts. DEI education and training resources. This action item reflects something that was of strong and high demand both during and following our DEI 1.0 strategic plan period. It reflects the goal of enhancing DEI education and professional development opportunities and resources available to our community that build on our DEI 1.0 efforts that supported awareness and foundational knowledge by moving more toward skill building and helping people understand the relationship of DEI to their particular positions and roles in our community. Example focus areas include preventing workplace issues and retaliation, disrupting bias, engaging in anti-racism dialogue, and building psychological safety in the workplace. Our colleagues and Fearless Leaders Organizational Learning will help lead and coordinate campus-wide efforts by bringing together a variety of campus-wide partners to map what we have currently across this broad, wide, and decentralized campus, to identify gaps and needs, and to help develop new resources as necessary, while we also leverage more effectively the resources that we do have. And we make them available across the campus. Staff salary equity study. We're really excited that University Human Resources will lead the development of a staff salary equity study, a step that has been responsive to broad community input. A first step will be to propose appropriate and effective methodologies for this complex work with university executive leadership, and identifying analytical experts to implement them. Please know that undertaking such a complex analysis is significant, but doing so is worthwhile. We have the will and the knowledge to do it, and it will help us recognize gaps and ensure transparency, compliance, and fairness in compensation. And once again, I will spotlight how our wonderful units are engaging in this work.
I'm Debbie Rivas-Strake, Associate Dean for Diversity, Inclusion, Justice, and Equity in the Marsal School of Education. A critically important element of our plan is to highlight our shared responsibility for DEI, or in our case, DIJE, by reducing the burdens and increasing the rewards for students, staff, and faculty whose work makes the school more inclusive and equitable. We hope that students, staff, and faculty will feel and actually be supported in initiating and leading grassroots activities. We also hope to develop an approach for compensating students who are involved in committee work related to DEI, for example, that is clear and transparent. And finally, we want university-designated student organizations that focus on DEI-related issues to know that we will support them. Last but not least, we plan to develop solutions to address any inequities we find in staff and faculty's internal service, awards, and compensation across diverse identity groups. Ultimately, we hope our community members who are engaged in DEI will know that they and their work are valuable to us and valued by us.
A person's spiritual or secular identity can be a primary way in which they engage the world and often influences the way a person eats, gathers, prays, dates, dresses, or votes. Student life is committed to normalizing the exploration and expression of religious, spiritual, and secular identity to foster a more inclusive campus climate. We are engaged in an institutional approach centered on student, staff, and faculty collaboration to increase religious literacy, interfaith dialogue, and opportunities to build bridges across diverse worldviews.
One way we in business and finance can help with our goals in diversity, equity, inclusion is through the procurement of goods and services. Every year, units across the university purchase a significant amount of goods and services, and we are working with suppliers, both locally, regionally, and nationally, to ensure that we're focusing on DEI. As an example, the university is working with a council of women business leaders. The second area of focus for us is through our investment office. We have asset classes that are managed across our entire investment portfolio by underrepresented minorities and women, and it's an important tool in helping provide leadership for new and emerging and seasoned investment professionals. This is an important tool in promoting DEI, where we, the university, benefit from a diverse pool of investment leaders, and they benefit from the experience of working with the University of Michigan. And finally, through our Treasury office, we have developed an innovative program where we have placed deposits with about 10 banks across the state of Michigan. These are community banks who will use these deposits to make investments that promote social good and a return financially for the university. These are all part of our commitment to DEI.
And finally, products. This goal reflects our effort to infuse DEI in our educational programs, teaching methodologies, research and scholarship, and service and engagement. Here, current central action items focused on products goals, and again, you can learn more about them on our 2.0 website. Fostering student academic success. This action item includes a variety of coordinated efforts designed to enhance student success defined by performance, completion, and indicators of personal growth and thriving. This includes identifying and eliminating disparities in these success outcomes across demographic groups. And an initial step underway is the creation of a new vice provost for undergraduate education position. The search is already underway, and this role will be a key leader in these efforts in collaboration with campus units and other units that support student access and student development. And finally, after a planning year, the Inclusive History Project, or IHP, launched formally this summer. IHP is a multifaceted multi-year presidential initiative to study and document a comprehensive history of the U of M by honestly and critically re-examining our past as it relates to DEI and engaging our campus and surrounding communities in order to do so most comprehensively. IHP joins a broad movement in higher education across the nation to address community erasures in history telling and prompt reparative action. This project will likely generate new scholarship and research, new courses, and reimagined institutional policies and programs to remedy the effects of histories documented by the project. Well, that's not working.
The Office of the Vice President for Research has developed a multi-pronged theory of change that aligns with the presidential strategy for amplifying research excellence to broadly enhance our DEI mission by engaging in practices that celebrate diversity and that uncover and address inequities. OVPR is cultivating an environment where a multitude of talents and perspectives contribute to innovation, thereby empowering research, scholarship, and creative practice that equitably benefit our state, national, and global communities. As a part of DEI 2.0, OVPR will proactively identify, advocate for, and invest in faculty-driven exploration in areas of discovery that impact DEI and address significant societal challenges. By infusing DEI into the essence of who we are, the depth of what we do, and the breadth of how we serve, we will challenge the status quo, spark breakthrough ideas, and ensure that our mission of catalyzing, supporting, and safeguarding research not only mirrors the world in all its diversity, but also serves its entire spectrum.
Historically, the collections, programming, staff, and visitorship at art museums in the United States haven't reflected the diversity of their local communities. More than 80% of artists represented in those collections are white, and more than 85% are male. Further, the majority of art museum employees are also white. The University of Michigan Museum of Art, which we call UMA, is no different. During DEI 2.0, UMA has a powerful opportunity and obligation to reimagine art museums. It can do that through revitalizing the meaning, purpose, and potential of the collection through installations that question global narratives of history and art history, by exposing colonial histories, by rebalancing the race and gender of artists shown on our walls, and by exploring the complex roles that visual culture plays in our world. To achieve these goals, UMA will utilize exhibition and program evaluation tools that are aligned with the museum's strategic plan and our commitment to anti-racist action. We're drafting our first ever collections policy. We've continued to expand open gallery hours and are taking a physical audit of our building to increase accommodation and accessibility for all museum visitors. And we're prioritizing the engagement of Title I and otherwise underserved K-12 school communities. These efforts and others will help UMA redefine what a campus museum can be and create experiences with art that enrich our understanding of one another, foster joy, and build a more just future.
In June 2023, the Michigan Program for Advancing Cultural Transformation, or IMPACT, was launched with a 5-year, $15.8 million grant from the National Institutes for Health, as well as an additional multi-million-dollar investment from the University of Michigan. The primary mission of the program is to achieve greater inclusive excellence in the biomedical and health sciences at the University of Michigan and beyond. IMPACT will achieve its mission in 3 ways. First, IMPACT will work with 11 schools and colleges across the university to recruit and hire 30 new tenure-track faculty in the biomedical and health sciences. These outstanding faculty will all have demonstrated expertise through their research, teaching, and service activities in diversifying their field, promoting health equity, and providing greater inclusion and access to communities that have been traditionally marginalized. IMPACT will provide the new faculty with mentoring and faculty development experiences to help them thrive during the pre-tenure process, as well as provide them with the skills that will help them become effective change agents within their community and their unit. Second, Impact will leverage the innovative evidence-based practices, procedures, and programs that were developed for the 30 Impact hires to help transform the cultures of the participating schools at U of M into becoming more diverse, equitable, and inclusive units for all members of their communities. This will in turn allow the units to more effectively meet their teaching, research, and service responsibilities. The final way in which Impact will achieve its mission is by rigorously assessing, evaluating, and documenting both processes and outcomes associated with the program, in order that the success experienced at the University of Michigan can be shared with the broader biomedical and health science community.
Okay, what did I do there? So hopefully by just getting a flavor of the central action items and just a sampling of things that are happening in the unit, that you feel interested, curious, hopefully inspired, and and proud of the work that we're doing to think about the ways that DEI relates to areas of our university operations and practices that maybe you didn't even imagine, from thinking about our infrastructure and investments, to the work of our museums, to the work of our academic units and beyond. To close, I just want to highlight again that at a time of anti-DEI movement and legislation across the nation, our work in our DEI 2.0 is doubling down and not backing down on DEI. DEI is the responsibility of a campus community. Our distributed and collective approach reflects this, and our collective work is necessary for achieving our success. Relates to point 3, we need you, and this means that we need all of our units to participate, to impact DEI through their roles and positions. All of us can impact DEI through our roles and positions. What we have done at U of M was unprecedented, but it has already made a difference here, and it has also influenced other institutions as I talk with colleagues nationally as they work and grapple to advance their values around DEI. So what we do in our next 2.0 journey will impact U of M, higher education, and our broader society. So thank you all. Please check out our full website for more information, as well as your own units plans. Also, feel free to check out other units plans too. They're public, and one of the things that we want to do is to share great ideas across spaces. And I look forward to questions and further discussion in this session. Thank you so much.
We're gonna take one question from the room and one question for the live stream, and there'll be other ways to engage and interact. So if there's a burning question, we'd like you to raise your hand.
Hi, thank you so much for the presentation. So I'm an international Fulbright scholar studying diversity and social justice in higher education here at Marcel Family School of Education. So I have 2 questions for you. Please, I'll just try to make them as short as possible. Considering that a DEI launch happened exactly when there are bans and attacks on DEI strategies in USA, do you have any comments on that? Since I'm writing a paper on it too, how is it going to affect the US citizens as well as the international scholars?
Say the last part of your question again. Sorry, I was...
So do you have any comments on the bans and attacks that are happening on DEI initiatives, especially considering how Texas and legislations are being passed and how the practitioners are being pushed to the wall? And how jobs are being taken away. So do you have any comments on that? And my second question is, you said that You are trying to enhance international graduate students' facilities on campus. There are certain things and facilities that are missing out. Are you doing anything about it? When I particularly talk about students who come from Asian Muslim backgrounds, we talk about the facilities in the restrooms that are not available and they have to face challenges. Do you have any plans to fix that?
Thank you. I'll take up the first question and the second question, since that was the two different ones. The first question is that we have a lot to say. So one, that we've been a partner and a voice and a collaborator with institutions across the country. So I routinely meet with, my own counterparts and leaders at other institutions who are grappling with how do you continue to do this work in constraining legal contexts. And so one of the things that we have an advantage of in Michigan is that we've had to be constrained before in the ways that we do DEI work because of Proposition 2 that was passed in 2006 that constrained lots of the ways that we engage in race. That actually helped us really think about strategies that were, in this case, race neutral, but that were still tied to our values and goals and to how to work collaboratively with our community, including our legal experts, to engage in work that's still allowable during a time of constraint. So we've been sharing practices, even lessons learned and stumbling blocks with other places. And then in our own work that we continue, one of the things that is really important about our strategic plan work is that we are specific and precise about defining what we mean by diversity, equity, and inclusion work. Like one of the things that's been happening in the legislation, if you read any of it, you should read it if you haven't, is that it is not defined well. So DEI is anything that makes someone feel uncomfortable, in some cases, banning critical race theory when you haven't defined what it is. So by defining diversity, equity, and inclusion work in specific ways and in ways that we know align with the law, then that has allowed us to move forward in work. And we also, even though we're not a banned state, we get challenges and questions on a regular, almost daily basis, and we're able to provide information that shows how we are complying with the law and how we are using strategies that, again, align with our values, but that also don't cross the legal parameters that we're under right now. And so talking about and sharing these practices with other places nationally is one of the things that we want to do even more of. We want to be able to admit students here using our strategies, but we also want other students to have access to higher education more broadly. So sharing these strategies is one way of us really thinking about access in higher education more broadly, for example. To your second question, so I think that is the total purpose of this endeavor that we're partnering with the Rackham Graduate School. The first step is even doing a comprehensive engagement and analysis of what our very, very diverse international graduate student community is thinking about in terms of needs during transition, application support, and the kinds of cultural experiences that they're having in different units and disciplinary spaces. We have not done a kind of a comprehensive examination of that yet that addresses things from the kinds of accommodations or the kinds of resources or structures that need to be set up to accommodate different national or cultural groups. This is the kind of work that we think and we hope and we plan to come out of that analysis that Rackham is leading in partnership with campus units as well as our office. So that information that we learn about needs can be translated into actions, meaning processes, procedures, and structures. So please participate in that, your voice. So that'll be a part of it too, that community members with interests or who do work related to graduate students will also be a part of that process too. So please make sure your voice gets included in that space as well.
Great.
You have another question?
There wasn't no virtual. So please join me in thanking Vice Provost and Deputy and Chief Diversity Officer, Tabby Chambers. Okay, so we're going to advance forward to another quick part of our agenda today before we kind of turn our attention to you having the opportunity to share with one another and be in community about what are some things happening in your unit and getting your reflections around your initial thoughts around some of the things you just heard and how we're planning to move forward centrally with the DEI 2.0 plan. But before we do that, we have a couple of representatives who are in the room with us who are going to give what I call mini lightning talks. So not even as brief as a lightning talk, they're mini lightning talks. But just in terms of shedding some light on, again, the unit level work taking place as we pull this DEI wagon together. So first, I'd like to welcome to the podium Maya Kabersi from the Office of the General Counsel.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for having me. At the Office of the General Counsel, we have been a committed partner in the university's DE&I efforts, and not only in terms of the way that we serve our clients, i.e. all of you, but also in our efforts to promote an office culture that is welcoming of difference, that celebrates difference, that encourages inclusion and equity, and that promotes accessibility. And one of the things that we were thinking about as we were preparing our plan for DEI 2.0 is that all too often units and workplaces don't ask employees what they like or what they don't like until they're leaving, right? Until it's too late. And so we decided that we were going to implement stay interviews by which we would ask our current employees what makes them feel welcome and respected in our office. What do they see as the strengths and weaknesses of OGC? And what can we do to make the office more equitable, more inclusive, and more welcoming to them and to others in our community and in our workplace? This is a new initiative, so I don't have detailed information that I can share yet about the success of the initiative, but we have already started implementing it. We are doing this through our evaluation process. It's not a written process. Instead, individuals who are meeting for their evaluations are asked to comment on those points that I mentioned before, and that information is being used by leadership to figure out what things we are doing well and what things we might do better. I do want to note that obviously the success of this initiative will depend on candor and on openness. And when I say openness, I mean not only of the individuals who are being interviewed for their stay interview, but also the openness of leadership to hear the messages, what people are saying and what they aren't saying, so that we can try to do better to make our office the diverse, equitable, inclusive, and accessible place we seek for it to be. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Maya. And I saw lots of folks writing, so that's great. This is what we want to do. These unit level items are just a representative sample from many that are presented in the plan and you'll get exposed to by going to the website. So next I'd like to welcome Judy Shabo from the University of Michigan School of Information.
Thank you, Katrina. Hi, everyone. It's an honor to be here. At the School of Information, we continue efforts to integrate diversity, equity, and inclusion into the fabric of everything we do. In our DEI 2.0 planning process, we gave faculty, students, and staff the opportunity to propose strategic objectives. Our marketing and communications team, having worked on accessibility and inclusive communications during DEI 1.0, proposed a bold strategic objective for our 2.0 plan to adopt universal design standards in all UMSI communications and school-wide activities. Universal design is a systematic approach to accessibility across many contexts, including physical space, learning environments, communication and technology, and more. In the context of communications, our goal is to build features and options that meet the needs of a wide range of individuals, rather than requiring individuals to request accommodations. To be able to view, read, listen, or otherwise access media being transmitted. Our efforts with universal design are not intended to supplant the option of individuals to still request additional or more specific accommodations, but rather to broaden access and meet a wide array of individual needs. In year one of our plan, our marketing and communications team will develop, document, and deploy caption and transcript standards for social media video. They will measure current compliance with universal design standards as part of an accessibility review process, and they will share best practices for universal design and communication across the school. The goal is to achieve 100% compliance by the end of the year 5 of the 2.0 plan. And this objective really aligns with and moves forward DEI 2.0 efforts to bring greater emphasis to accessibility as a core DEI concern. This is one of our 37 strategic objectives in our plan, and I'm very happy to have had the chance to share it with you.
Thank you, Judy. So Maya represented our people, Judy represented our process, and then we're going to welcome Sarah Prince from CEW Plus to represent our products. And is Sarah? Okay. Sarah's going to be joining us. And the wonderful thing about CEW representing the product space is that we wanted to signal that we know that units all across campus, everyone had to develop products. So they're not just situated in academic units. So it's the way that we deliver our services, whether that be teaching, research, scholarly undertakings, et cetera. Thank you.
Thank you. I just want to thank the Office of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion for inviting me to speak here today, and also for the support of this initiative that I'm going to talk about. The Financial Empowerment Initiative is a cross-campus initiative focused on the psychological, social, and emotional factors that impact an individual's financial decision-making. The goal of the program is to encourage participants to reflect on their learned financial decision-making behaviors and the alignment of those behaviors with their long-term goals. The initiative was formed out of insights that staff at the Center for the Education of Women, CEW+, collected from students and staff about gaps in traditional financial literacy programming on campus, including a lack of information relevant to individuals whose concerns are centered around basic needs. The goal of this initiative is to empower people by creating a safe space for participants to ask questions and form community. CEW is leading this initiative with the guidance of 30 staff, faculty, and students from across campus. We hired 2 consultants whose expertise informs the work. Financial therapist Lindsay Bryan Podvin, LMSW, a School of Social Work alum, and Vicki Krupper, a retired senior associate director from the Office of Financial Aid. Collectively, our goal is to empower participants to take charge of their financial well-being by examining underlying psychological, social, and learned behaviors that inform their financial choices. Lindsay uses a therapeutic approach to address obstacles that students may face, creating a collaborative atmosphere that normalizes conversations about financial anxiety, learned behaviors, and habits. Workshops are designed to foster open dialogue about financial challenges and wellness, emphasizing conversation among participants in a safe space with guidance rather than a lecture from an expert. The intent is to encourage long-term change by increasing the capacity of participants to learn from their financial decisions, good or bad, without judgment. This year, we are piloting a series of 5 workshops that will be refined over the year and repiloted. Our goal is to scale the programming to all units using a peer facilitation model so that individuals from across campus with the proper training can offer the series of workshops in their units. Continuous assessment and participant feedback will guide program enhancements, and in future academic years, Lindsay's role will shift to training others at the university to lead the workshops. Thank you again, and if you have any questions, talk to me or my colleague, Sandra Ayala-Rosa, who's in the audience today. Thank you.
The last element of our live mini lightning talks is going to be centered on student engagement. This is certainly something that we are doubling down on in DEI 2.0. So we have invited 2 student representatives to speak to that. So the first is Serafina Camp from the Computer Science and Engineering Graduate Student Organization to just talk about the student grant, DEI student grant initiative that was recently launched within ODE, and she'll be speaking to one of the project that was funded through this resource. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. First, I want to say thank you to the Office of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion for having us here today and for their generous grant. My name is Serafina Camp, and I am a DEI co-chair for the Computer Science Engineering Graduate Student Organization, or CSEG. And my co-chair Amber and I noticed several DEI initiatives across our department, but we also noticed little connection between the people organizing these wonderful efforts. Just to name a few, we have people interested in improving the pathways of transfer students into the computer science program. We have student-led initiatives about improving your confidence, so confidence building workshops for current students. And we also have people interested in improving admissions pathways to the computer science graduate program and improving diversity in that aspect as well. So with the generous grant from ODEI, Amber and I were interested in hosting a workshop for faculty, staff, graduate and undergraduate students in computer science engineering to come together and learn about exciting DEI initiatives, some of which I have just mentioned in the department, and to brainstorm new directions to improve DEI with roundtable discussions. Specifically, we will hear about department-led initiatives, student-led initiatives, and how DEI actually intersects with our research. So we have received a lot of interest so far for this event, and we are looking forward to the fruitful discussions that we will have next week. We hope this event will help us identify blind spots in our current DEI initiatives and inform what our future events should focus on and what discussions need to continue in our community. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Serafina. Such a wonderful swath of representation across all of these initiatives. And the next student representative I'd like to invite is Brooklyn Blevins from the Black Student Union, also an awardee of the ODE Student Grant Initiative.
Hi everyone, my name is Brooklyn. I'm the current speaker of the Black Student Union, and we were very happy to be a recipient of the ODE Student Grant. Kind of in line with last week's summit, Critical Race Theory and Hip Hop, we are excited to be hosting an open mic night in collaboration with another Black org, Urban Wordsmith Society. For our event, we plan on having the wonderful and talented Deidre Smith coming to kind of speak on the historical and contemporary relationship to hip hop in the Black community before kind of opening it up to fellow members of our community to share their spoken word poetry, song, art. So yeah, we actually hosted an event like this last year on a much smaller scale, and we received a lot of positive feedback about creating a space for Black creatives to be able to share their work, which a lot of the time does pertain to the Black experience and nuances of Blackness. So we're hoping to just foster an environment for collective healing while also celebrating all of the talented creatives that we have in our community. As a Black Student Union, this is just kind of one of many ways we're committed to DEI work of improving the Black student experience on campus. As some of you may know, we've been engaged in a lot of kind of political activism to rectify the structural flaws that persist for Black students on this campus. So we're super excited to host our event and just keep it pushing with all the work that we've been doing this past year.
We're about to move to you. Thank you. Please join me in thanking our unit leaders again, including our students. We were so pleased to be able to support many really innovative student-led and student-driven ideas for engaging in our DEI work. There have already been leaders in this work, and our hope is to be able to amplify that even further. One of the things I just wanted to mention, because it has come up as a question pretty often in various DEI discussions, is what is the relationship between DEI 2.0 and the other campus initiatives that are happening under the President's strategic visioning, as well as campus planning. So one of the things that I wanted to highlight, and it actually does relate to the question that our colleague answered to, is that we've been using the data that is represented by the unit DEI plans, the themes that have come up from our units, to share into that process. So we have members of our team who are situated on committees that are related to strategic visioning and to the campus plan, strategic visioning 2030 and campus planning 2050, to ensure that all of the work that our units did to engage their feedback that went into their plans are named as priorities, so that work, that gets fed into those processes. So there've been information sessions on those things. Please attend them and note the things that you care about related to DEI, but also know that we are using actively the information that our units have raised as concern and priority to feed into that. And so when we think about, for instance, planning the most innovative space for the future, that some of the things around how space is welcoming to different communities or how space is accessible to different communities must be a part of making our space the most innovative space in the world and in the nation in higher education. So when there's an opportunity for you to participate in those sessions, please make sure that you're naming those things, but also know that we are taking the content that has been named in our DEI plans to share that back too. The same thing with strategic visioning in terms of what in the next decade should Michigan be investing in and working on, that the information and the priorities and the needs that you've expressed from our community that's represented in our unit plans is also fed into that process. So we wanted you to know that we are actively being a connector to those efforts, but we also are encouraging you as members of your units to bring your perspectives around DEI to those spaces when you have the opportunity to. Collectively, the more voices emphasizing those priorities, the better, and the more likely there are to be taken up seriously and visibly and very, very, in a way that's felt by our community. So just wanted to mention that, and thanks. And now, we're gonna move to the next part.
Yes. Join me in welcoming Tyne Lucas, who is going to give us instructions for the next phase of our agenda. Thank you, Tyne.
So good afternoon, everyone. I'm Tyne Lucas. I serve as the Senior DEI Program Manager in the Office of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. And at this time, we want to give you an opportunity to process what you've learned about our Central DEI 2.0 plan and to think about how our Central DEI plan connects to you and the DEI work that's happening at the unit level. So what we're going to do is just spend the next probably 10 minutes in some tabletop discussions. And for those who are joining us via the live stream, again, we welcome your responses as well. And you can put those into the chat, and we will make sure to integrate those into the conversation that we're having here in the room. So for the next 10 minutes, what we'd like you to do is talk with the individuals at your tables and discuss the following 4 questions. So number 1, what are your initial thoughts, impressions about the central action items in the DEI 2.0 plan? What stands out to you? 2, how does work happening within your unit connect to these central action items? 3, what does success look like in DEI 2.0? And 4, what is your role in ensuring this success? So we'll give you 10 minutes for that process, and please take notes. You all should have a sheet of paper at your table, and we'll just get some high-level thoughts or have you share out some high-level highlights from your conversations after the 10 minutes. So you have 10 minutes for that portion of the program.
So it's clear from the amount of conversation in the room that lots is happening around campus. So this is a good thing. And it's also clear that we could have devoted an entire session just to being in community and connecting. And so I encourage you to think about ways that you can create spaces and opportunities for those in your unit to do just that. And one of the things that we're really trying to lift up for 2.0 is this idea of collaboration and connection across units. So think about ways to engage with other units as you advance this work to really spur collaboration and connection as we engage this work collectively. So we just want to allow the space for maybe 2 or 3 insights in the room. Please do leave your notes, any notes you have on the table. But if anybody wants to share, we're going to engage like a popcorn share out. And we're also going to get a couple insights from those things populated online or the live stream. So just raise your hand if you would just like to share a top-level insight that might have emerged in your discussion. Oh, I thought you had your hand up, ready to go. There we go.
We were like a mini think tank.
Okay.
Yeah. Achieving staff equity is a noteworthy goal. It's also a tall order. And we were clicking our heads on how it could be done. And it could be done subjectively by sounding out from staff members whether they feel that they're being sufficiently recognized, or objectively by looking at the department. And then some of you DIA specialists had mentioned discussion with other universities and comparing experiences. And so all of those seem like possibilities for achieving or for assessing whether staff are achieving equity. But we weren't quite sure how they would all be melded together, although we have an assurance from what you've discussed that there is a process, or at least an initial process, to undertake it.
Absolutely. Thank you for that. Yes, as it was noted, it is a complex process, but we are committed. We have the will and the resources to engage the work because we know that it is of great value to our DEI work across campus. So, any other insights?
So one of the things we talked about that we consider, number 3, what does success look like in DEI 2.0? And one of the things we mentioned was that individuals that sit in positions of DEI leadership, be it a coordinator, be it a director of DEI, that we have a basic standard minimal level of qualifications that those individuals possess, and that we make sure that there is a depth of knowledge and experience with implementing DEI practices that includes understanding histories and being sociopolitically conscious.
Great. Thank you for that. We have an insight here.
So we answered question 1, and we were kind of saddened that the hospital was not included in this because we contribute a lot to DEI. So we just wanted to make sure that we weren't left out. And then we were also, we talked a lot about the salary engagement, just because it's hard to, for the salary, we just didn't know how, there wasn't enough time. We got really deep and in depth in this conversation, just how exactly how it would all be broken down and how that research would come about, because yes, you're gonna do the research, but then how will you go about like distributing and making sure that it's equitable among everybody, because it's just very in-depth.
Yes.
So it's quite complex, and there's just been so many, I think, hurt feelings over it and over the years.
Sure.
Just in general. I don't want to get too far into it because this was the whole 10 minutes conversation, but
yeah.
Yeah.
But thank you for that insight, and I do want to assure you that Michigan Medicine, whole scale, is included, beyond it being one of the 51 units that, of course, has its own plan. In many of the action items, as you'll read on the website, Michigan Medicine is named as a key partner. So as we think about trainings, as we think about the HR processes, there are dedicated offices in Michigan Medicine with whom we are partnering. And so, yes, we are definitely encompassing of all 51 units. Okay, so just in ending, we'll take an insight or two from the virtual space.
Just a quick insight from Cindy, who shared online regarding question number 3, what does success look like in DEI 2.0? Moving beyond increasing numbers to supporting success in ways that incorporate research findings and local input.
Great. Well, I want to conclude with thanking all of you. Let's give yourselves a round of applause. As I often say, it will require the will and the work of each and every one of us if we are to be successful in our DEI efforts. And so we rely on your partnership in this work. And thank you for attending today. And yes, let's go forward and make a difference in our spaces and at the university broadly.